Good evening. Welcome to Moon Wellness at our new time. It's 6 o'clock on the West Coast now and 9 o'clock on the East Coast. So hopefully this feels good to me. I like this time. It feels like on the West Coast, we're kind of like, if you're back at work, maybe you're home, winding down, thinking about dinner, doing some meditation or evening joyful movement. If you're on the East Coast, maybe you've finished dinner and you're kind of getting into your cozy clothes and having another glass of wine or a cup of tea, getting ready to unwind for your evening activity. Yeah, I know some of you out there are having wine, and I am right behind you. So I'm really happy. I think this is a good feel. I know last week we were stayed at 5 o'clock because of the debate, which we're not even going to talk about because I've already blanked it from my mind. It was so traumatic. But anyways, I hope that you were able to take some of your self-care that we talked about last week and give it to yourself. Give yourself a little love after the heightened emotion of what's happening in our world. But here we are today, which is a new day. We're in October, which is one of my favorite months for a lot of reasons. In Northern California, it's a really beautiful time of year. We have like really warm, kind of nice days that melt into these really pretty breezy nights. So it's one of my favorite weather-wise. I also just love all the like astrological stuff that happens around this time of year. I love all the spooky, Halloweeny stuff. So I'm excited for October. And today we're going to talk about one of the, I know, Halloween is popping up on my screen and it makes, and I'm trying to plan something very COVID safe with a couple friends. We have this big movie screen and I'm trying to find some horror fest we can do. But anyways, we're going to do a couple fun, more spooky themed Halloweeny shows through October that I think will be fun, because I think that it's really important to talk about all the different kinds of self-care, and a big part of self-care is doing things that make you feel things and make you spooky and make you have fun and make you remember that you're still a kid inside. So that's why I love Halloween. But tonight we're going to talk about nature, because every Moon Wellness episode I like to start with going over kind of our 7-step self-care checklist, and nature is on there for a reason, and I thought maybe we should go in depth a little bit. First, let's have a good deep breath, because let's have a nice restorative, centering, grounding breath. Grounding is what we're going to talk about a lot tonight. So breathing is a really good way to help get grounded. So we'll continue that breath work throughout the half hour that we're here together. Quick checklist, go over nourishing our body with healthy foods. I love fall also because there's so many yummy, healthy fall foods to transition into. Root vegetables are some of my favorite things. So there's a lot of like warm, healthy things to look forward to eating around this time of year. So I'm definitely on the nourishing my body train for fall. Hygiene. This is also a really good time of year to like get some good baths in. As the weather changes and it's cold outside, it feels really nice to end your day or start your day with submerging in some nice warm water. So I like to like up my hygiene game and take it to the next step and do a little bit more indulgent self-care around the fall and winter season. Joyful movement. I could improve that a little bit. I actually really have been wanting to get back onto my yoga mat over the last couple of days, and I haven't. So I think I'm going to make that a priority this evening after we're done here. Health, taking our vitamins. This is a really good time to gear up on some extra immune support as we're still in a pandemic, and we're moving into our regular cold and flu season. So it's just a good idea to get some good extra adaptogens, good extra immune boosters and things like that, and to make sure you're taking all your vitamin C and things like that. Connecting socially, I think that's getting a little easier for some of us as things open up a little and our comfort levels move. We're able to spend a little more time either virtually or in person with our friends safely. And I think that's really important, especially as we move into a time of year that can bring up a little seasonal depression. It's really nice to be able to reach out and connect. Creativity and joy, flexing that muscle is really important right now. And that brings us to nature. So nature for me is a non-negotiable with self-care. I was born and raised in California. I still live in California for a reason. I pay a crazy amount of money to live here because I have access to nature at my very fingertips, and it's really important to me. And number one for me is I have to be very close to oceans, big bodies of water, but oceans in particular are really important for me. So that's one of the reasons why I still pay this rent in San Francisco, because I can get to the ocean in 10 minutes, and that's important to me. Nature is our foundation. That's why it's such an important aspect in our lives, especially when we talk about our wellness and self-care. We come from nature. We are animals. We sometimes can forget that because our society disconnects us in a lot of ways from nature and from our roots and from where we come from. But it's who we are. We come from this earth, right? We come from this earth the way that the animals and the plants and the minerals do. That is why working with crystal and elemental energy and plant energy can be so beneficial spiritually and physically and mentally, because that's our family in a lot of ways, right? We come from the same place. We are all stardust. So that's probably the overall reason why nature is so important, is because it is a reconnecting to who we are. Vitamin D, just some of the physical and mental well-being boosters, I'll call them, that nature can provide are the sun. We all know that. I think they say, spend a half hour in the sun every day to get your vitamin D. That is way too little time for me. I like to get a lot of sun time, even if it's a cold, not particularly sunny day, just allowing the sun to hit your face. Even if you're sitting inside your house looking out a window. You ever walk by a house and you'll see a cat perched in a window just in a sunny spot, content? We need that too, right? That's like absolutely healing energy for us to just lay and allow that warmth of the sun to just penetrate our skin and to get into our soul. That really is going to help so many things. It helps promote happiness and relieve stress, and nature provides a safe place for us to release aggression and any feelings of an anger. It helps kind of soothe that, and we can get it out by doing some physical activities. So nature is really important as just a foundation for self-care, first of all. Other things that nature really helps on the health plane is, other than that vitamin D we were just talking about, is oxygen. Duh. I mean, living in Northern California right now during these wildfires. I keep saying wildflowers, and I hope that that's my soul just hoping that we get a lot of beautiful wildflowers out of the destruction of these wildfires. But wildfires are creating a lot of really damaging air quality and smoke in the air. And I will tell you, I'll never take oxygen for granted again. It is amazing. The difference between walking outside on a really good clear day and being able to take a deep breath and feel what that feels like in your lungs, and feel how that can clear your head and clear your energy, and walking outside, while it's really smoky and not being able to receive that same oxygen. Not only does it feel horrible and you're sad for all the destruction, but it really does feel damaging on your lungs and on your respiratory system. So getting that oxygen is just a crucial thing for spending time in nature. Oxygen is a really key benefit that you're going to achieve from just being outside. Trees and plants in general really provide us with cleaner air and energy that can really change our moods and promote overall well-being. The ocean is in particular healing for me because the negative ions that it releases really I can feel a huge difference when I spend just some time sitting outside in that letting that salt water kind of hit your face as the breeze goes by. It's amazing the positive energy that it can kind of shift within you. We are really connected. Watching waves flow in and out really can mimic our natural rhythms and help us kind of realign with the planet. I kind of came up with, when I was thinking about this, like 5 reasons that are sort of interconnected on why nature is such an important benefit to self-care. So I'll just kind of go through those. And like I said, they're all kind of interconnected. They sort of are like 5 elements of the same thing. Aligning with nature is really important, like I was talking about, because it reminds us of our actual natural rhythm, right? There are no clocks in nature. 7 o'clock isn't dinner time in nature. 9 o'clock isn't breakfast time. 11 o'clock isn't bedtime in nature. The sun and the moon and the sky and the changes in temperature are really what dictate all of those things for animals and plant life. And when we spend some time in nature, it can really remind us to get back to that natural rhythm. People used to go to bed when the sun went down because that was when work was done, and that's when your body was tired. So you went to bed after your meal, your last meal of the day, right? Now we're up. I was chatting with a family member today that was like, oh, I'm on that 2 a.m. going to bed hype. And I was like, ooh, that's rough for me. Like, I was on that for so long because of my industry and working in restaurants and things like that. You're up late. And I remember, and no judgment, like some of us do that, and that's good for you if that's the rhythm you're on. For me, it was becoming so out of whack with the natural rhythms of when the sun went down that it was really creating havoc in my sleep patterns. And I was having a hard time just getting my energy levels up because I was so chaotically sleeping, trying to force things when it didn't feel natural for myself. So spending time in nature for me helps regulate my body a little bit back to connect it to the natural rhythms of nature, right? The sun comes up, it's time to kind of get up and be active. When the sun goes down and the moon comes up, it's a little bit more quiet time. And I like letting nature signal my body for those awake and rest periods. The beauty of nature is another thing that is really important for our self-care, because being around beautiful things is actually really wonderful for your own mental and physical and emotional well-being, right? Have you ever gone for a walk and the sunset or a beautiful mountainscape or something particularly catches your eyes and it's breathtaking, right? We look at certain things in nature and you just can't believe that it exists. It looks like a painting, right? It's so remarkable that we have a moment of being blown away. That's incredible healing powers. Looking at something that's authentically, naturally beautiful like that can really inspire you to find that within yourself and to seek it in the world. It's inspiring. We want more of it, right? When we see those beautiful things, we realize how they affect us, and it makes us want to search out for them more. Beauty is so healing. I see someone making a comment. It is incredibly, incredibly healing. There's a reason that we hold beauty. Unfortunately, we hold strange beauty standards in this country, but there's a reason that we're so in awe of beauty. And if we can realign back to what's actually beautiful in nature, it may help us understand what's beautiful about ourselves, right? So beauty, for the sake of beauty, is self-care. Another thing that kind of ties into what I was talking about our natural cycles, our natural rhythm, is the natural life and death cycle. Spending time in nature can remind you that we're living mini life and death cycles all the time, every day. And it's okay. It's a part of natural balance, right? A hard thing for me around all that's been happening with COVID and this pandemic is the fear that's been propagated. I don't know if that's the right word. The fear that's been put out there around death in this country. And I am not saying that it's not scary, that being sick and getting COVID isn't scary and all those things, and that the idea that we might die isn't scary. It is. But I think if we had a better relationship with death as a society and a better understanding that we are not immortal, we will die. Like every animal, like every plant, this is a life cycle. It has a beginning and a middle and end, and then it does it again. It's a cycle, right? So I feel like if we could step away from our fear about death, we could approach health from a little bit more of a clearer understanding and more authentic understanding of what's really going to happen to us. And then it takes away that fear and we can just live our lives a little healthier. So for me, spending time in nature is a nice reminder of that death life cycle, especially when you're going out in a seasonal transition. This is a great time for that. This is literally Earth's death cycle right now. We are starting fall that will transition into winter. That is when the trees die, the leaves fall, the plants die. The animals go into hibernation, they go into a sleep pattern, and they come out new. They are reborn into a new cycle. And I think it's really important for human beings to get better on that cycle. This is a time, I'll often hear a lot of my friends and family kind of complain or comment during fall and winter, like, God, I'm so tired. I just want to sleep all the time. Yeah, do that. That's nature going, guess what? All other animal life is sleeping right now. Stop being so productive. This is not the time for productivity. This is the time for rest. That's why I love harvest season. We are harvesting all of the work we've put in throughout the year, and we get to just sit back and enjoy it and rest now, right? This is our beautiful death time. This is the time where we get to crawl inside and go inward and quiet down and take quiet time and restful time. And then we get to be a butterfly again. We get to come out of this cocoon and reemerge with a new life. That's what the beauty of spring is. So spending time in nature is a really good reminder that we die these little deaths all the time. Every time you go to sleep, every time you're shedding something, that's a little mini death, right? Walking around in nature, we have a great deck, a lot of plants in a garden on our deck. And something that's been an adjustment for me is all the like dead bees and butterflies that I find. And it was really hard for me at first. I was like, what? All these bees are dying on our deck. Is it terrible? And then it was kind of like, yeah, no, that sort of happens. Like they pollinate plants and they do their thing and then they die. They serve their purpose. And it was sort of a lovely moment where I of course, Googled immediately, like, am I killing all the bees on my deck? And it was really nice to hear that, no, in fact, that's their life cycle and that's what they're here for. And it was a nice reminder that has its own beauty. They've done their job and they didn't need to be here anymore. And so they released to the next cycle. So I think nature is a good reminder for that. It definitely reminds us who we are. Like I said at the very beginning of this, we are of nature. We are animals. We are made of the same things that plants and animals and everything in the universe is made of. So spending time can remember how we're connected to everything, right? I am connected to all those bees and butterflies I was just talking about. Their lives are equally as valuable. It's amazing how spending time in nature will shift your ideas even about all the beings of nature. I used to be the major spider killer. Like, get them out of my house. I'm squishing it. As hard as it is and as creeped out as I am by spiders still, I will go through the motion of finding a piece of paper and picking it up, putting it outside, because I don't believe that I have the right to kill things anymore. And that came through realizing that I was connected to everything. And that came through spending time in nature. The fifth thing that I was really thinking about when I was talking about nature is loops back around to that beauty, that idea of seeking out beauty. And that's finding the divinity in nature. Whether you're a religious person or a spiritual person, I am not a religious person, but I'm a deeply spiritual person. I know that when you're in the presence of certain things, like an awe-inspiring sunset, it can really connect you to your idea of a God or universal energy, life force, whatever connects you to the idea of what's bigger than us. Nature is a great way to get there, right? I know it's been hard for a lot of people that find their spirituality through community and church during COVID to not have that community to go to and not have that structural place, right? That house of worship to go to. And my suggestion to a lot of my family members that find solace in church activities while their churches were closed were to go to a park, go to a beach with their close people they were quarantining with. And that's a house of worship, right? That is the place to find the truest expression of divine power. Look at the ocean, right? Look at the mountains. Look at how all of this stuff is created. A volcano, an iceberg. Go online and look at it, So I feel like it's a really great way to connect us to that all-powerful energy, whatever that is for you. Real quick, some tips to get nature into your life, because some of us live in a city. I am fortunate to live in a city like San Francisco that has easy access to great nature places. And I know New York City does as well, but what if you live in a place that doesn't? Um, Taking nature walks wherever you can. Sometimes I can't get to a park or a place that maybe consider nature, and I just walk in my neighborhood. Well, I'm outside, right? I can still see the trees, and I can still see the sun and the moon and the clouds and the raindrops and little weeds growing out of the sidewalk. That's nature. So even if you live in an industrial area, walk around. You're going to get oxygen. You're going to get sunshine. You're going to get raindrops on you. You're going to get the breeze on your face. So that counts, right? That's nature. So go outside, just go for a walk. If you can get to the mountains, the ocean, wherever, if you have access to a car, a train, a bike, and can get, a little bit further out of the city to go on a great hike, that's a great way. A weekend trip, an overnight camping trip, if you have access to that, it doesn't take a lot of money. If you have a vehicle, throw some stuff in your car, and sleeping under the stars is a really cool thing to do if you've never done it. Eat outside, right? Right now, a lot of our restaurants in California are still closed for inside eating. Some of them are open. People are sort of doing what feels comfortable, but all of them are open for outside dining. And I know we're getting into colder months in certain places, so it may not be possible, but while we can sneak in before it gets to winter, eat in your backyard, eat on your steps of your house, grab your plate and just sit on your stoop if you live in the city. Go have a picnic in a park, go to a restaurant that offers outdoor dining. The Europeans really do this right. They eat outside all the time. If you ever go to like Spain or Paris or Italy, all those plazas just have tables in them, and they just pull tables out and make makeshift dining rooms outside. It's really nice. Eating outside with fresh air feels really good. I highly recommend it. Exercising outside. Sometimes I'll throw my yoga mat on my deck or my parents' backyard, or take to the beach with me and do a little yoga stretching outside. It feels really, really good. It's amazing how quickly you warm up doing an exercise, even if it's not warm outside, but the sun's out. It's amazing how quickly the sun will actually energize you and warm up your muscles in your body. That's one of my favorite things to do. Foraging is like my absolute favorite kind of witchy thing to do, and it's a great beginning of each season thing to do. There are plants and nuts and shrubbery and flowers that correspond to each season. Don't think that just because a lot of things are dead in the winter that there's not all sorts of cool things to forage for. Woods and twigs and dried leaves and things like that. Bringing that into your house and doing a project with it is a really fun way to get some nature. Houseplants. My favorite way to get nature into your house if you live in the city. Our house is full of plants because we love bringing nature inside, and it really improves the air quality inside your house. There are tons of resources online. I know there's a company called The Sill, and it's thesill.com. And if you look on there, they will tell you like what plants work really well in your bedroom if you need more oxygen and things like that. Really good, inexpensive ways to bring some nature inside. Using natural products, right? That's the reason I created the Jamaica Moon Wellness product line. Using products that are made from nature is probably the easiest and first step, I would say, if you're looking to change your self-care routine. Start paying attention to products that have natural sea salts in them, plant oils, dried herbs and flowers, natural sugar scrubs and salt scrubs, things that use ground up plants and nuts to exfoliate your body or to add moisture to your body. Those are really great ways to connect to nature. And I know it doesn't necessarily sound like you're connecting to nature because you're like using this product, but for instance, my bath salts that I make have, dried lavender and dried rosemary, and those have Dead Sea salts in them. That's all stuff that comes from the planet, from nature, that I source from outside and bring inside. So when you add those things to a bath with water, which is a natural substance also, you're really soaking in nature, right? You're really taking a self-care moment and letting the aroma of those plants hit you, and letting the salts pull out some of those toxins and letting those negative ions create a positive aura around you. That's really great. One of my favorite practices, there's a Japanese practice. I cannot remember what it's called in Japanese, apologies, but in English it is called forest bathing, I believe. It is really the act, and they practice this in Japan, where they go out and really mindfully connect to nature by walking through trees, by walking through the forest, right? And maybe they do this barefoot and quietly listening to the sounds of the forest, smelling the smells, allowing yourself to really use all your senses. It's an incredible healing practice, and it's really easy to do anywhere. You don't have to be in a forest. You could be at the beach, you could be at a park, you could be at a botanical garden, you could be in your bathroom creating some of those things. A couple weeks ago we talked about the indulgence of self-care, and we talked about things like salt soaks, eucalyptus showers, bringing eucalyptus branches into your showers, bringing in lavender into your bedroom. All of those things, bringing outside things into your environment, is a really good way to kind of meld your worlds, right? This kind of artificial world that we create with all these things, bringing these natural objects in, crystals, salts, plants, different minerals, water, right? Getting a humidifier and having humidifier with some natural essential oils in it is a really great way to smell. I love like putting in my humidifier like pine and juniper right now, because it gives you those foresty fall winter vibes. Allowing nature to come into your home is my best suggestion. Take yourself outside in nature and then bring some of it back to you and give thanks to it. Be always mindful when you forage for things that you're taking them out of its habitat and you're bringing it into yours. So make sure that you're just being mindful of where you're getting things, how you're taking them, and then how you're treating them once they're in your space. It took me a long time to learn how to take care of houseplants properly. So if you're not going to take care of them, don't get them. But air plants or succulents or things like that are really great starter plants, so you don't kill everything. But nature is a really great way to start connecting and getting some deeper self-care. Taking a 10-minute walk on your lunch break, that's an easy way to get nature into your life and start there. I guarantee you, once you start spending time in nature, you'll crave it. If I don't get outside and spend time in nature daily now, I feel trapped. I feel like a caged animal, right? Getting out in nature and getting fresh air is a really good energy clearer and sort of de-stressor. So I really recommend it. And as we head into colder months, this is a really good time to practice bringing some nature inside. So I would suggest maybe spending the next weekend or two doing some foraging, or going to a local farmer's market and buying some cool branches, eucalyptus branches, cedar branches, and bringing into your house. That way you have some of those natural smells and textures around, and it'll inspire you to do more of those natural self-care projects. Thank you guys so much for joining me again. I'm really excited to be at this later time. I think it'll be a really good way to unwind on our Tuesday self-care nights with Moon Wellness. So I will see you guys next Tuesday, same time, 6 o'clock on the West Coast and 9 o'clock on the East Coast. I hope you guys have a beautiful week. Happy October. Super exciting to be in October. And I will see you guys on the next Moon Wellness episode. Again, you can always check out JamaicanMoonWellness.com on the events tab. I will have a running tab of future shows, so you can check out what we're going to be talking about and subscribe. Thank you guys so much, and have a great Self-Care Tuesday night. Until next time, be well.